War is not always a loud event. It's often a quiet condition in which a person lives constantly, even if they don't call it by name. We tend to think of battles as something involving armies, weapons, and battlefields. But in truth, every person fights daily against external pressures, inner restlessness, the uncertainty of the future, and the chaos of the present. Sun Tzu wrote for those who understood that victory begins long before the first move is made. And more often than not, it's born not from impulse, but from strategy. He didn't speak of how to destroy the enemy, but of how to avoid meaningless conflict, how to win without violence, and how to guide the course of events without losing balance. His book isn't merely a military strategy manual. It's a guide to living in a world where strength is defined not by brute force, but by the ability to choose what is not obvious, but truly effective. And anyone who reads The Art of War as just a collection of quotes misses the deeper truth. It's not about war between people, but about the war within, the one between fear and clarity, reaction and awareness, chaos and order. Life is a battlefield without end, where every thought, word, and action can become either a weapon or a shield. Wisdom lies in understanding the nature of these battles, in seeing opportunities before they arise, and acting in ways that lead to victory without unnecessary struggle. Anyone who applies these principles begins to see the world differently. They stop being a victim of circumstance, stop wasting energy fighting what cannot be changed, and start using strategy as a tool for awareness, control, and the harmonious pursuit of their goals. Sun Tzu stated that the greatest victory is the one achieved without direct conflict. These words remain relevant even in the modern world, where the ability to foresee events, anticipate the consequences of one's actions, and choose a strategy allows conflicts to be resolved before they even arise, avoiding unnecessary struggle and loss. A true master understands that strength does not lie in force, but in understanding, and victory is the ability to create conditions where the opponent chooses to retreat on their own, preserving their dignity. This art remains invisible to outsiders, but becomes evident to those who know how to wield it. In a career, this principle manifests in the ability to anticipate people's reactions, manage situations subtly yet effectively, and plan moves so that the desired outcome is achieved without direct confrontation. True maturity lies not in fighting, but in knowing how to avoid the fight altogether. In business, it shows when a company thoroughly studies the market, competitors, and customer needs before launching a product. The market entry becomes a strategic move rather than an impulsive attempt to capture share, and success is achieved without direct confrontation, as competitors, less prepared, act chaotically. Even in personal life, this principle appears when someone carefully plans interactions with a partner, anticipates possible reactions, and chooses the right moment to speak so that the outcome is productive and conflicts are minimized, showing that true strategy is the art of managing situations rather than clashing with them head-on. Those who do not know themselves can never truly control the events around them, because their decisions will always be colored by fears, habits, and unconscious impulses. Sun Tzu emphasized that knowing oneself is the first step toward real strategy. When a person understands their strengths and weaknesses, they can choose actions that minimize risks and maximize effectiveness, turning life into a field where they act consciously rather than react automatically to external stimuli. Self-mastery involves controlling emotions, observing one's thoughts, and planning actions in advance without succumbing to impulsive pressure from circumstances. This principle applies to every area of life, from family relationships to business and personal goals. A person who masters themselves does not need to impose their will on others by force. They guide events through precise calculation, patience, and observation, achieving results without unnecessary noise or displays of power. True self-mastery is also evident in sports, where athletes focus on their inner state and control emotions even under the pressure of spectators and opponents. For example, a tennis player entering a decisive match not only studies the opponent's game, but also manages their own thoughts, breathing, and nervous system, ensuring that no irritation affects the precision of their shots. Victory is achieved not only through physical strength, but through awareness, patience, and the ability to anticipate the course of the game, perfectly reflecting Sun Tzu's philosophy of knowing oneself and managing one's resources. Knowing your opponent is the art of strategy, because to know your opponent is already half the battle. In real life, this manifests as the ability to see people as they truly are, to understand their motives, weaknesses, and desires, and to use this knowledge to minimize conflicts and achieve goals with fewer resources. The art of strategy is not about manipulation or force, but about accurately understanding the dynamics of relationships, anticipating others' actions, and choosing the optimal moments for initiative when the outcomes will be most advantageous. This ability shows itself through observing people's behavior, reading the context of situations, and predicting reactions that most overlook or ignore. Sun Tzu taught that one should act so that events unfold naturally, making victory a product of calculation and understanding, rather than brute force or impulsive action. Knowing your opponent or partner also applies to negotiations, where a successful manager anticipates the other side's motives, understands emotional responses, and offers solutions that satisfy both parties while minimizing resistance. For example, when closing a contract, a large company can identify the partner's interests in advance, offer favorable terms, and create a sense of mutual victory. A strategic approach that achieves results without confrontation. True victory is often invisible because it is achieved before open conflict begins. This is a lesson in silence and observation, in paying attention to the small details that shape outcomes, and in the ability to influence events without displaying force. In life, this means strategic planning and precise understanding of situations, allowing one to reach goals quietly, so that opponents or circumstances follow the path you have subtly created for them, and victory manifests through results rather than dramatic confrontation. This strategy requires patience because it goes against the usual impulsive reactions to external stimuli. Yet, it is precisely this ability that separates those who control their destiny from those who become pawns in someone else's game. Small startups often use the strategy of winning in silence by focusing on improving their product, testing hypotheses, and engaging with their core audience rather than launching loud marketing campaigns. As competitors react to the surrounding noise, they often waste resources, while the conscious, quiet strategy allows newcomers to occupy advantageous positions and emerge victorious without direct confrontation. In the workplace, career advancement is often achieved not through force or conflict, but through understanding the corporate structure subtle human dynamics and choosing the right moment to take initiative. A person who can observe, analyze, and anticipate the behavior of colleagues and superiors often reaches goals faster and with less energy than someone who acts aggressively or impulsively. This kind of strategic thinking reflects Sun Tzu's idea that victory comes from intellect, observation, and patience, not brute force. Thus, the art of war ceases to be merely an ancient treatise on battles and transforms into a philosophy of life, where victory is measured not by the number of blows struck, but by the ability to master oneself, keenly sense others, anticipate the course of events, and create circumstances in which outcomes unfold naturally and almost imperceptibly. Let every thought, action, and step be conscious, so that even unnoticed efforts lead to victories.